Hi, everybody. You're reading with Jimmy. This is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and we're analyzing Chapter 5 today, Advice from a Caterpillar. We left off, as you can see on the left, where Alice stopped and she was perplexed. She's sad. She's having adventures, and she stumbles on a caterpillar sitting on a mushroom. The chapter starts out that they look at each other for some time in silence. You're going to see a lot of this silence for some time, for some minutes. And it's important when you read that to pause for not some minutes, but to realize that silence is sometimes deafening. You hear that? Could be quite uncomfortable. But anyway, the caterpillar took the hookah. We defined hookah. That's the pipe he's smoking last time we talked. And he says in a languid, sleepy voice. Languid means displaying or having physical, disinclination for physical effort. You don't want to really move. And if you've ever watched a caterpillar, they're not really fast, are they? They just move kind of slowly, languid voice. And he says, "Who are you? Who are you?" This was not an encouraging opening for the conversation. These conversations that happen in the story are very important to to understand, and also the concept of what a conversation is. But we'll talk about more about that in later chapters. Right now, Alice replied shyly. It's important to understand when the third person narrator uses words like shyly. She's shy, right? She's shyly. I hardly know, sir. Shows respect to the caterpillar, calls him sir. I hardly know just at present. Anytime you see a hyphen, there's a pause in the narration, in whoever's talking, or if the narrator's narrating. At least I know who I was. See the was italics? When I got up this morning, but I think I must have changed several times since then. Do you remember when we discussed Sartre, we were talking about the past, present, and future. So when the caterpillar asks, "Who are you?" she says, "I really don't know. I don't know." Can you imagine not knowing who you are? There's a little box on the bottom of this page. Who are you? Is the central question of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And actually, the whole adventure of finding out who you are is what the story is about. It's really what the story is about. So, who are you? Who are you? I want to take a minute to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you look on the left here, there's a little description on the bottom about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Hierarchy, some people say hierarchy of needs. So you see there's like 5 little steps here leading to the top of the pyramid. You can Google Maslow's hierarchy of needs or Abraham Maslow. He was a psychologist. And he built this pyramid to convey something about human beings and their needs. Now, there's a lot of debate going around nowadays about, is this true? And everybody, and especially with AI going around, some people may say, Maslow never said that, blah, blah, blah. What's important to understand, as Albert Camus said, it's not the soundness of the argument that's important. What's important about any argument, is for it to make you think. And that's what I want to propose to you with this central question that the caterpillar asks Alice, who are you? Maslow's hierarchy starts on the bottom. And basically, the answer to the question, you can't even begin to answer that question unless you satisfy these hierarchy of needs. So you have to have physiological needs satisfied. You can't even begin to think about who you are if you're hungry. Or if you got to feed yourself, you got to have sleep. You need those things in order to figure out this question of who you are. If you're worried about where your next meal is coming from, you're not going to be really thinking about who you are. And then you have to feel safe. If you don't feel safe, you're not going to have any time to contemplate who you are. Now, why am I showing you this? Well, Alice is really not safe in this book. She's continually being challenged by creatures, by herself, by conversations, by everything. So one of the things about Maslow that I wanted you to keep in mind is this third step, belongingness. Alice is trying to belong. She, ever since she ran down the rabbit hole, she's trying to find her way and find out where she fits in. We're all trying to fit in. And if we don't fit in, we're trying to fit in. We're trying to find out places where we fit in. And it's only after these three needs are satisfied do we start thinking about our own self-esteem. What's self-esteem? Well, self-esteem is when you value yourself. You know who you are. You place a value on who you are. You don't depend on what others think you are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things in this caterpillar dialogue, when he asks, who are you? And she says, I don't know. I hardly know. I know who I was when I got up this morning, but then I must have changed, she says several times. So self-esteem means you have confidence in yourself, you know who you are, and then, and only then, do you start self-actualizing. The problem today is that a lot of people they wake up, they run to the computer, and they start thinking that they're self-actualizing, or they go onto social media and they start depending on what other people think about them rather than about what they think about themselves. But that's another story. In any case, this is the opening of chapter 5. I'm going to move this over here. Advice from the Caterpillar, which, as you can see from my handwritten notes when I first read the book, this is a good chapter. They're all good chapters, but this one in particular is very, very good. This is Jimmy. You're reading with Jimmy. And you can email me, Jimmy@readingwithjimmy.com, Jimmy@readingwithjimmy.com, and I look forward to seeing you for the next couple of pages.